My name is George. G'day to you on this 21st of April 2026 edition of Message of Hope. And for you foodies out there, welcome to the channel, and you're going to love today's story. And it began in 1923. Mitsubishi tried to build a rice cooker. It failed. 1945, Sony had a crack at it using wooden bucket as a prototype. They had high hopes. That's an interesting concept. Then came Panasonic's time. They tried. In fact, every major engineering firm in Japan took a go at it over 30 years. Every prototype needed someone standing over it, adjusting the temperature manually. They were so meticulous. And if you miss the timing by seconds, then you're gonna get rice mush. Have you had rice mush? It's not pleasant. Or worse, you might get burnt rice. Equally unpleasant. So 30 years, decades of the best engineering minds in Japan, but nothing came into fruition. However, here's the turn. Then a Toshiba salesman did something radical. The light bulb was on. He asked housewife what their most burdensome task was. Guess what? Turned out to be cooking rice. The ladies were up at 5 a.m. using a charcoal stove. So 3 times a day, 2 to 3 hours per day doing this ritual. And Toshiba decided to hand the project to a small subcontractor named Fiko Minami. You like that? Well, for him, the business was failing, but he still was in belief that he could make something that would work. So he put up his family home as a collateral. So one problem, he had no idea how to cook the perfect rice. And of course, he turned to his wife. Of course. Fiko Minami, the wife, cooked rice 3 times a day for 5 years. We're talking about thousands of batches. She meticulously recorded every measurement in her children's school book notebook. So there are entries there at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. She tested every single prototype on the rooftop in the summer heat, outdoors in the winter at minus 10 degrees, you name it. But then her health broke, which meant her 6 children took over, checking thermometers before and after school. They love extracurricular work there, don't they, in Japan? And so after 5,000 batches, here's what Fumiko found. You don't need to adjust the heat at all. Keep at the same temperature. 20 minutes, you'll get perfect rice. Every single time. So in December 1955, ta-da, the Toshiba Model ER-4 rice cooker was born. And within a year, 200,000 units a month were sold. And by 1960, half of the Japanese homes had one. Well, today, a $5.7 billion global market is developed since that day. Now, nobody mentioned Fumiko by name publicly for decades, until an academic documented her role in 2012. Thank goodness for decent researchers. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Think about it. For 30 years, the best engineers in Japan brought their answers to a problem. They're pretty good at engineering, right? Like the Germans. And every one of them knew what perfect rice tasted like. Every one of them had calculated what the solution should look like. Oh, and every one of them failed, because none of them had actually lived inside a question. Isn't that interesting, don't you think? So the breakthrough arrived when someone finally stopped presenting solutions and started asking the persons closest to the problem. Yeah. Which brings me somewhere I want to take this story. Are you ready? Do you ever wonder why some of your prayers don't seem to get answered? Do you? Well, I do. And I have. It's one of those questions that sits quietly at the back of most people's minds. Yeah, but doesn't get said out loud very often, does it? Especially in Christian circles. I reckon they do think about it. Yeah, in Christian circles where admitting to unanswered prayer can feel like a somewhat embarrassing report card. Don't feel that way, guys. So here's what I've concluded. I don't think the problem is usually that God isn't listening. No, I think the problem is what we're asking, right? And what we're saying as well. Most of us bring God a solution. because we've already decided what we need, as if God doesn't know. We've done the analysis, we've worked out the right outcome. We just want him to tick it and approve it. Lord, can I have this now? Lord, make the investment recover. Let the promotion come through. Sort out the cash flow this month. Yeah, on the double. Get the debt cleared by December. I don't know who's giving orders in these situations, but certainly God doesn't need our approval. And when those things don't arrive the way we specify, we wonder why God seems absent. Yes, I've seen people who complain about God regarding these situations. Why doesn't God answer my prayers? Well, go do more prayers, find out, ask God. And I have some experience of exactly this, and I should tell you about it. Similar, all right? Similar. I was working as a mortgage broker, many of you know. A client came to me wanting a better interest rate on his home loan. Yes, I found one because that's my job. And it was generally a better rate, but with a different lender. And I was quite pleased with myself, maybe more pleased than the situation warranted. Well, we got to the point where he was about to sign the application form. And he asked me one question. It was just one. And I guess, in that moment I knew I haven't asked enough of the right questions right at the start. I had heard what he wanted and gone straight to finding the answer. And there was a scenario in his situation I never thought to ask about. No deal. It fell apart. Bad move, George. Bad. I didn't lose the client because I lacked enthusiasm, right? I lost him because I came with an answer before I properly understood the problem. Oh, and by the way, if you're feeling compassionate towards me, thank you. Then there's a subscribe button I'd like you to hit on. Give it a thumbs up to this video. And do share my videos far and wide. I really appreciate that. Because there's more of this on this channel that's worth having something nearby. Yeah? Now, here's where John writes in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 14, 15. Because you know my favorite part, I'm going to give you a Bible passage. This is what it says. And this is the confidence that we have toward him. That if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And we know that he hears us in whatever we ask. We know that we have the request that we have asked of him. Read that again in your quiet time. So it's got to be according to his will. Not according to our calculations. Not according to what we've worked out makes sense. According to his will. That's the magic pudding, I reckon. Secret sauce. Now I want to be careful here because this verse gets used in a way that quietly discourages people. And I don't want that. The logic goes, well, if God only answers prayers that match his will, and I never know his will, then prayer is basically guesswork, isn't it? You may as well not bother. That's probably some people's attitude. I'm just telling you that's not what John is saying. The invitation isn't resignation, it's relationship. And there is a difference. And it matters between going to God with a solution you've already drafted and going to God with the actual problem and genuinely ask what he wants for you. Those sounds familiar, I know, but they are not the same thing. Think about those engineers for a moment, right? 30 years of bringing solutions to the rice cooker problem. Hey, all of them are capable, all of them are diligent, no questions about that. All of them working from what they already knew. And yet, the breakthrough came from Fiko, engineer's wife, who didn't arrive with the answers. She lived inside the answer, the question. Let me repeat again. She cooked at 2 a.m., woke up the children, and let the problem form her before she formed the answer. Yeah. That's a different posture entirely to the one most of us bring to prayer. And here's what I suspect is actually happening when financial prayers go unanswered. Mine included in the past, yes. It does hurt at times. We often pray for a specific resolution to a problem we haven't fully handed over. We want the outcome. Sure, we're human. We don't particularly want the process, do we? We want the interest rate fixed. We don't necessarily want to sit with the harder question of whether the debt should exist in the first place or not, or whether our spending reflects what we actually believe about stewardship. I should say, I do believe God sometimes answers the specific things we ask for. I think there are tons of people giving examples, miracles, testaments that happen. So if the loan goes through, income recovers, okay. The unexpected provision arrives, great. I've seen that. But I've also noticed that some of the best things God has ever done in my financial life were things He didn't give me when I asked for them the way I asked for them, right? That deal that fell apart because I hadn't asked the right questions pushed me somewhere better, isn't it? It made me to be a better broker. I had to ask better questions. Yeah, and what if that's not what if that's not God being absent? What if? Yeah? What if that's God being present? In a way I didn't recognize because I was too focused on the application I had already submitted. Too focused on my selfish little world at times, right? I think I was a hero, but I'm not. Friends, here's a question I want to leave with you. Not whether God hears you, and I believe He hears. He hears a lot from people who are His children. Okay? The question is what you're actually asking. Are you bringing God the problem? And honestly, with a genuine willingness to hear an answer you didn't anticipate? Or are you bringing Him the outcome you've already decided on and hoping He'll sign off quickly? Because there's a version of prayer that's really just anxiety with religious language around it. And it begins with Dear Lord and ends with Amen. Yeah? It's like a template almost. But what's in between is a list of what you've already decided you need. That version rarely produces the peace that Paul talks about in Philippians. And I think that's because peace doesn't come from getting what you ask for. Right? God thinks differently from man. It comes from trusting the one you've asked. So, for Fiko Minami, good on her. She cooked the rice at 3 a.m. In her children's school notebook, she wrote it down in winter. On the rooftop, she was everywhere. She didn't come with answers. She came with a question and kept living inside her. Batch after batch after batch until the answer was found. Again, she died in 1959, 45 years old. Bedridden at the end, receiving letters from women across Japan, thanking her for the hours she'd given back to her. She had no idea when she started that it would turn out that way. She was a gift to the world. She just kept asking the questions faithfully. And this is the confidence that we have. Think about it. And this is the confidence that we have toward Him. That if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. In your quiet time, please read that passage. Meditate on it. Not if we ask cleverly, not if we already worked it out according to His will. No. Friends, have you asked Him what that is? Thanks for being with me today. I really enjoy delivering this message. I hope it really helps you, builds up your faith through the power of the Holy Spirit. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.